I'm not going to cover in depth how to launch and activate a window and all the different commands you can do. However, I do want to show you how this can actually be accomplished. Let's go ahead and make a new macro. Right-click on a white area and click New Macro. Unless you want to do this and you feel comfortable with using one of your previously designed macros, you might want to do that as well. Anyway, click on New Macro, and let's use No Activation and go to the scripting editor. Now, a good idea whenever you make a macro is go to the properties and specify a nickname. So we're just going to type in Activating Windows. Go back into our script. And the reason why it's good practice to give it a nickname first off is so that you actually know which script is which, because when you go back to the Macro Explorer, it's going to ask you if you want to save changes. If you hit yes, and you have a whole list of macros, instead of it actually having a macro name, it'll just be blank. Well, you run into problems when you have 15 to 20 macros that are all blank and you have no idea what they do. Let's go back into Activating Macros, and how I did that was just double-clicked on the macro script. Let me give you a really quick explanation of why you would want to use launching and activating windows. I'm not referring to the operating system, I'm talking about a window in an application. Such as, let's go to Start, Programs, Accessories, Notepad. And we're going to be using this example in this exercise. This notepad, this Untitled-Notepad, is a window. And depending on the application, you might have quite a few windows, such as if we open Start, Programs, Accessories, Notepad, we now have two notepads. So if we move this one up, you can see that we have two different ones. So what if we do have two window titles that are the exact same text? How does it know which window to activate? Well, the macro is going to activate whichever window was last clicked on. So since this front window was last clicked on, it should activate that window. So let's give this a shot. Let's go into our macro script. I'm just going to click on Macro Express. I didn't actually move my windows at all. I didn't click on my windows any more than that. And let's go to our last command category called Windows and Programs. Our first choice, Activate or Launch, let's go ahead and double click on that. The Activate or Launch actually allows you to use several different commands that are listed in this command list. For example, the Activate window only is listed Window Activate. Launch Program only is Program Launch. Launch Program and Activate window is Launch and Activate. And the Activate window if running, otherwise Launch Program and Activate window is this Activate or Launch. All these commands work similar, that's why they're all grouped together. However, they are all different from each other. The Activate window only means that it will find the window title that we specify. So if we type in Untitled hyphen Notepad, so now this Untitled hyphen Notepad matches our title down here. And actually the U is not the same, but it doesn't look at lowercase or uppercase, so that's no problem in this exercise. Let's go ahead and press OK. And if we press play, you'll notice that it activates the window that I had last clicked on, so which was the front window. My secondary window was this one, which was a little bit higher up. So now that this one is the last window that I clicked on, and I go back into the macro script and press play again, you'll notice that now it activates this notepad file, because they're both named the same thing. So it's got to determine, okay, which one to launch, and that's how the program deciphers which one to use. So next we can use a, let's say we want to use a text type. So we go into the command category text, and we say text type and type in hello, and press OK. So if we press play now, you'll notice that it activates this window and types in hello. And that's how you use text type, or one method of using text type. You can also use like an alternate. Let's say we want to press alternate F for the file menu. Well, we can do that by specifying that in the text type. So let's go back into our macro script here and double click on this text type hello. In here I'm going to go to the end and type in Alt and press F for the file menu. When I press OK, if I press play again, it's going to type in hello and then click the file menu. Now you notice that it went pretty quick, so we might need to slow that down. If we had multiple lines of text, in order for the computer to keep up, we sometimes have to use delays or timing for text type. So how we do that is go under timing and say delay, timing delay, and say 0.2 seconds. So if we go back into our text type, double click, and we delete this Alt F, and let's change our word to how are you, or our keystroke to how are you, and press OK. Next, let's copy this text type by clicking on it and hitting Edit Copy or Control C and clicking on our delay 0.2 seconds and press Control V. Now after doing that, let's change our second text type to something else, like I am doing just fine. Exclamation point. Press OK. Next, just so that those hellos don't confuse us, let's go into our notepad that we were having this type into and delete this hello hello, and then click back on Macro Express. Now if we press play, it's going to activate this window since this was the last one that we had clicked on, since it was the last active Untitled Notepad window. So when we press play, it's going to activate that and type in our phrase, hello, or how are you, question mark, waited 0.2 seconds, and then said, I am doing just fine. Now it's not quite as crucial when you're doing small text types like this. The reason why you would really want to use delays is if you're doing menus, like if you pressed Alt F, you may want to make it wait for a half a second so that this can come up, and then press Control O or Control P or something to that extent, just so that there's time for the computer to process what command you're saying or telling the macro script to run. This is it for the activating window. Next, let's use the launch command. So let's go ahead and delete these other lines of code here by selecting them by pressing Shift and pressing the delete key. Next, let's go under the Windows programs and let's say program launch. The launch program only means that it will launch the program regardless of if there's actually a window already open with that program. So if we specify a program path or name, let's click these three little dots, and we're going to continue using Notepad. Let's go under Windows, C drive Windows, and Notepad. This is where mine's located. However, depending on where you installed the operating system at, it might be in a different location. And let's click Open. Now that we've done that, we have the program path or name, C drive Windows Notepad.exe. How's it going to run? Is it going to run normally, minimized, maximized, or hidden so we can't see it? Let's just leave that normal and click OK. So we already have two Notepad windows open. When we run this, we should have a third window open. So notice now how we have Untitled Notepad, Untitled Notepad, Untitled Notepad. Let's go ahead and minimize Notepad and return back into Macro Express. Double click on the program launch, and this time let's select Launch Program and Activate Window. This command is fairly useful as it allows you to activate a window from the application you just barely started. So if we specify a program path name, say Internet Explorer, which if clicking the look-in directory, go to our C drive, go to Program Files, double click on Internet Explorer, and then double click on IE Explorer. You'll notice that it fills our program path name with the path of IE Explorer or Internet Explorer. So now we need to specify a window title. So after Internet Explorer starts, what is it going to activate? What window in that application that just started is it going to activate? Well, on my Internet Explorer, it's set to my home page, which starts out with Learn Macro Express. So if I press OK and I press play, you'll notice that we'll start Internet Explorer, and once it locates this window, Learn Macro Express, and remember that that said partial title, so I didn't have to finish .com-Microsoft Internet Explorer. Let's go ahead and minimize Internet Explorer and double-click back on Launch and Activate. Let's go ahead and change our program path name back to Notepad by clicking the three dots, clicking the look in, go to C Drive, Windows, and double-click on Notepad. Last but not least is Activate Window if running, otherwise launch program and activate window. What this means is if we type in a title, say, this is how it is, if this title is located in the application C Drive Windows Notepad.exe, which is any of these notepads open, so if this window title matches partially to what this window title is in any of those notepads, it will just activate that window. If it's not found, then it will open a new notepad. So we currently have 3 notepads open plus this Untitled notepad. So let's go ahead and press OK and try running this by clicking the play button. You'll notice that now I have 4 notepads and 1 Untitled notepad. And the reason why is because it could not locate that path name that we specified. You may have noticed that my guy was still running down here, and I got an error after a few seconds that says the specified window, this is how it is, cannot be activated. The following error occurred. The specified window was not found in the system. And the reason why is, so let's go ahead and go back into this activate or launch and read it a little bit closer. Activate window if running. So it's going to activate, this is how it is, if that window is running. Otherwise, launch the program, C Drive Windows Notepad.exe, and then activate the window titled this is how it is. Well, when I launch the program C Drive Windows Notepad, this window title, this is how it is, does not actually still exist. When I create when I execute Notepad, it will have the file name Untitled Notepad. So in order to match that, what we need to do is type in our window title Untitled -Notepad and click OK. Now you also may notice this little line under here that says maybe a partial title. The reason why they put that is because we could just specify the window title Notepad and it would activate the window title Notepad instead of trying to activate the window title Untitled-Notepad. So if we do that and press OK, it's not going to execute a new Notepad application window because we already have one running that meets those requirements of which we just set. So if we press play now, you'll notice that it still says 4 Notepad and the Untitled Notepad is still over here. So we actually have 5 notepads running, but it didn't open a new edition of Notepad.exe. So see, if I run this again, see, you'll notice I still have 4 and Untitled. If I run it again, it still finds the same requirements over and over and over, so it doesn't execute another Notepad.exe instance. And the reason why I say instance is because when you have an application, say Internet Explorer, you can actually launch Internet Explorer multiple times. So you could have 3 Internet Explorers running, so they're 3 different window titles. Or Notepad, in our case, we launched or executed Notepad.exe multiple times, and that's why we have 4 over here and 1 over here. I'm not quite sure why on my system it separated these 4 Untitled's with this Untitled. It should group those together. But anyway, that's how you use the activate or launch an application as well as the activate window commands. Thanks for watching.